So an issue I talked about before, and I talked about it many times before, that young people coming out of college, particularly secondary school now, they're looking for a summer job. When the summertime they're looking for a summer job, either in the Westwood, either be in a fast food takeaway or whatever. And with COVID, there's very little jobs going on. Obviously a lot of businesses have shut, and which is unfortunate. A lot of cafes and things like that just can't feasibly take on anybody because they're literally on their knees. Um, and obviously that's in regard to many young people. They're coming out of school and they can't get work. And obviously they're trying to pay for college and things like that. So it's very difficult. It's very tough on young people now. Particularly now, as how did before we had very high youth unemployment. For before the pandemic, before COVID, we had very high figures of people unemployed, young people unemployed, and you might say there's apprenticeships, but there's only so much apprenticeships for everyone in the country. And obviously it's beneficial to get an apprenticeship and things like that. But I can think of several people that can't find a job, and are going to college and trying to pay for the college, and you'll get a bit on the side for the college, a part time job or whatever. And it's very difficult on them. It really is very difficult because they want to work. They really want to work, but there's no work. There's really just literally nothing for them to work at because there's nothing really going in shops. Take for example, because shops are not really taking on any more people. Cafes, it's only outdoor. So for the majority of cafes are small cafes or small restaurants, and not big restaurants. They don't need much staff to man them, or they just in some cases in Cavan they can't afford to pay the staff to. So they can't afford many more staff. They can't afford. Because the money they lost is too much to pay for more extra staff or whatever. And it's the same in everything really too. You need, and obviously you need to do training courses and X, Y, and Z, and it's just it is stressful on young people because again you have to pay for college, and again when you're 18 when you come out of school you want a bit of money on the side, and it is upsetting. And I did talk to a few county councils in Cavan because it's something that I would look into if I was a county councillor to get young people. And again, the one thing they said about it when we were talking about there's two county councils that I was talking to. And the one thing that was mentioned, and I said before, is insurance. Insurance too, for what I'm talking about here. And that's the biggest thing that's against this program at the moment, which I'm desperately trying to push through. To try and get at least if we can get one town in Cavan doing this, and would be beneficial. And that is getting young people out, maybe on a Saturday or on Sunday, to do a bit of walk around the town, doing a bit of sweep, doing a bit of weeds, picking up a bit of rubbish. Again, nothing too like building America, not like that. Just small things. And again, it gives them outside to meet people along the street, to socialise, to meet other young people, to talk, to communicate, to work together. Above all else, it gives them good communication skills, good teamwork and skills, and etc. And they get a few bob. Like, say for example, I was saying 300, the 300, 200 range. Say they work from the time we were talking about, it's 9 o'clock in the morning to maybe 3 o'clock in the evening, maybe, depending on how long they wanted to work. But something along that, it wouldn't be just, it wouldn't be bad money. It would be decent enough money to give them a decent income, to give them some kind of decent income so they have decent income. And again, it does benefit the community, and it would benefit, and the county councillors did agree with me, the two county councillors were with me, because I was arguing too, it would save the council resources, Cavan County Council's resources. Take for example, like it save our resources if they went, we give the young person, say we had a young man at 17, and he wanted a bit of money, say he was still in school, and he wanted a bit of money during the summertime, to do things, maybe to go off to Bundoran for a while. We would give him a power wash, or maybe he might power wash. Take for example Gatu, beside the public library in Gatu, because the town I was arguing about, to try and get this scheme put in force, just to see how it worked, was actually in Kingscourt. I was talking about getting a few people, young people from Kingscourt, not many, maybe 10 to 11 people at most, just to see how it worked as a beginning, to see how it worked. Again, the funding's not the issue. The funding's there. The money's there. We have money lying around that it's not being used. It would take a bit of the council's checker, but I do think it would be beneficial to get young people out, to get them involved in the community, to work with the local tiny towns, say for example in the areas too, and work with the tiny towns, And obviously more assistance to the tiny towns from the council, giving them more resources too. Again, as I said with the young people, it would build the communication skills, it would build teamwork and skills, having to work with other young people to overcome different situations. And obviously they would have to go and help in safety courses too, but again, it wouldn't be too much. It wouldn't be like we make them go out and walk night and day, noon and night. Again, small bits, again, picking up a bit of litter. You're doing a bit of sweep up a few weeds and leaves and whatever, and doing a few weeds and everything like that. And I do think it would be beneficial, because again they're working with the community and they're doing community work, and it's something very good. It's something very good to get. It's something good, and it's getting out in the fresh air and it's getting having a bit of exercise too. And I do think it was good. And obviously the county council did agree with me in that point too. It would be good to get them out to exercise. It would be good in their mental health, good in the physical health, having to walk around and interact with people in the fresh air, walking in the fresh air, getting good exercise, getting the hormones moving. It would be beneficial. Again, that's something I would look into as soon as I got it. If I did get elected as the county council, that was something I'd look into much more, because I do think it would work. Having in a few towns, having 5 or 6 young people paying them a few bob. Again, I'd say again, as I argue, and the county councils did agree with me, that it would save the council its shekel if we say we had a few young people, we paid them a few bob to sweep up, say outside. Take for example, if we started in Cavan Town, we have them sweeping up around the main street in the morning. We have them sweeping up in some of the estates, helping out Cavan Tidy Towns. Take for example, doing a few weeds maybe on the main, doing a few weeds beside the post office, or doing some weeds beside the barracks in the town, the guards barracks. Saving the council time, saving them manpower, and again it benefits the young people because they're getting money to put towards the college or to have a summer job. And you might say they use it for drugs, and again we did talk about that too. But again, we have to give them a bit of the benefit of the doubt and trust them. Above all else, we have to give them trust. That they would do the right thing and not put it towards drug or drink or anything like that. But I do think it would be beneficial. I did say it would be beneficial. But again, the thing is, and again, I just thought I'd say it, but because I do think it was a great idea. The one thing that was the biggest thing was insurance. Who would cover them? Would it be the FOSS scheme? Would it be the tiny towns that cover them? Would it be the local authority? And that's something we argued about a lot back and forth. That I was saying it should be the FOSS. It should be under the FOSS scheme. What association with Cavan County or whatever local authority it is. But I do think it should be under the FOSS scheme. The insurance should be under the FOSS scheme in association with Cavan County, whatever county council. And I do think that would work. I do think that would work very much. But again, I would want to send them off on a training course and everything, and obviously give them the equipment, whatever equipment they need. Like take for example, they need high-vis jackets, or they need a sweeping brush or a litter pick or anything. Get them the equipment they need and not have them paying for it or anything like that. So I do think it would be beneficial. But again, that's one way we could walk around it. That's what I was suggesting. But again, it doesn't look like we'll gain much ground until I got in there until I get in there and move them on a bit. Because it's something I would really look into. If I was a county council, I would really look into it. Even if we could get into 2 towns, it would be very beneficial. Even if we could get 3 or 4 in 2 towns, it would be beneficial. Or give them a few bob towards the college. It would be beneficial. I'm sure people do agree. Because that's the only way I see it. Walking out, doing public service, doing public work. For the community, for the county, and I do think that's the only way we can work. Because private businesses, small businesses at the moment, they really can't take on many more people, and I do think that's something we can look into. But hopefully, please God, maybe they might. They said we'll keep it on the cards, but we see what happens. I know that's what I just wanted to talk about. So yeah.